murder of George Floyd in May of this year worked to shine light on a systemic problem that has been plaguing our nation for far too long. And while the culture of policing is a problem that can be seen in cities across the country, change must begin within our own communities. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department has not been immune to the symptoms of racial disparities in policing, enormous operating budgets, or calls that fall outside of the jurisdiction of law enforcement. Because of this, it is important to analyze this culture of policing at the local level in the pursuit of systemic change and real solutions. Moving forward, I will further dive into the policy problem, elaborate on the ways in which I will engage in research on this subject, and explain why this is so important to the greater Las Vegas community. For starters, it is important to understand that the problem is a culture of policing with symptoms of racial disparities in this policing, enormous operating budgets, and calls that do not relate to enforcing the law. The symptom of racial disparities can be understood through statistics from the Vera Institute of Justice, which indicate that the LVMPD has arrested more Black people per capita in recent years. The symptom of an enormous operating budget can be understood through the final budget that the LVMPD posted earlier this year. This budget of $655,617,383 indicates a 3.7% increase from the previous fiscal year, despite a global pandemic and impeding economic recession. The symptom of a confusing jurisdiction can be understood through the statistical crime briefings that the LVMPD publishes, which indicate that they receive more calls for service than calls that actually relate to violent crimes. All of these symptoms are structural issues contributing to a problem culture that LVMPD falls victim to. Now that we have identified the problem, I will further elaborate on the ways in which I will conduct research throughout this study. By analyzing sources from the Brookings Institution, other national databases, local newspapers, state and local laws, and sources directly from the LVMPD website, I hope to analyze this policy problem from multiple angles. From there, I will deliver a fact sheet, opinion editorial, and annotated bibliography to give Las Vegas community members more insight on the research that has already been completed on this subject. The goal here is to mobilize our community to care about the culture of policing with regards to the LVMPD by using accessible language and clearly defining key takeaways. Finally, it is really important to address why this is so important, especially now. I am personally passionate about this policy problem because the Black Lives Matter protests that have swept our nation in recent months are calls for systemic change and real solutions everywhere. In fact, we have even seen these demonstrations in our own community. The Nevada legislature is meeting in 2021, and with this, they must address constituent concerns. After all, they won't have this opportunity again until 2023. By addressing a systemic problem in our own community, Las Vegas can serve as a model metropolitan area for other cities across the nation. It is evident that the culture of policing is a problem that can be felt in Las Vegas. In review, I covered the symptoms of this problem, the ways in which I will engage in research on this subject, and why this is so important to the Las Vegas community. By engaging in this study and finding a policy solution that works, change is possible for a more just and equitable future for all people. Thank you.